The cool part was, I thought it was cool. I jumped on ChatGPT and said, hey, create a self-driving tour of Iceland. And
It did.
it did. Yeah, that's the scary part. All right, so we went to Iceland. Remember that? It was about a year ago.
Little over a year ago, when you were turning,
39
or
for the 21st time. Had a good time. I want to tell you all. That was cool. I jumped on ChatGPT and said, hey, create a self-driving tour of Iceland. And
it did.
it did. Yeah, that's the scary part. It had us staying day one in Reykjavik. That might have been a good idea.
That would have been a very good idea.
But in any case, we jumped straight in and started our circle tour. Packed our bags, maybe a few too many bags. So we bought tickets on Iceland Air.
Very nice tickets.
Yeah, and they had this super cool thing where you could bid on moving to first class. So I started dorking around with it online. I was trying to see what's the lowest amount of money they would even allow you to bid for first class, and I chuckled and closed it. However, turns out you don't have to hit save, you don't have to hit apply, nope. Move that slider and you have bid on first class tickets. So on the way over, there we were in first class.
It was a very comfy trip.
It was a very comfy plane ride, and you got blankets and water and all kinds of stuff in first class. And then we had, was it champagne? Fizzy champagne. So that was fun.
Cheers.
Yeah, it was way expensive. Cheers. I will know. But it was fun. So then we landed. We got our rental car from Lava Rental. We sort of it was do we call it a red eye?
Oh, yeah.
We left here and arrived there at
6 a.m.
6:25 or whatever a.m. Tried to get to our rental car. That took a long time. The people next to us had international phone service, so they actually called and were told the bus was coming, which then it was another 45 minutes before the bus arrived, right? We probably...
At least.
Yeah, so I'm thinking we got the bus about 8 o'clock or 8:10 to go get our car. So then off we went to get the car and then drive from there. So we grabbed our car and started heading out. Now this is 8 in the morning. We needed to learn the signs. So Brook was reading the pamphlet they gave us on what all the signage in Iceland meant. So
yeah, the road signs are different.
Very different. So we get up to Reykjavik and we decided we needed coffee. I can't sleep on planes, so I hadn't slept all night. But you snoozed a little bit.
A little bit.
And then, anyways, we stopped at this gas station, a very romantic gas station in the middle of Reykjavik.
It's raining a little.
It's raining a little. It's cold. That was the theme for the whole trip. It's raining a little, it's blowing, and it's cold. But it was great. So we got some coffee. We bought a map.
We went.
We bought some sort of food. Oh, remember we tried some of the pastries or whatever, because some of it we hadn't seen.
Gas station pastries.
Yeah. So it was pretty good. So back in the car and off we went on our journey. The first place we went to was the national park. Okay, we'll just pause here, hit pause, and you try and pronounce that name. We'll wait. So we got to the park, and this is the rental car we had. It's a Duster. We call it our trusty Dusty. It was a small diesel all-wheel drive, and that thing took us any and everywhere. Just the low power, just here I go, I'm gonna go. It was
just a little engine that could.
Yeah, it just oh look, the road looks questionable. Well, let's go.
I guess this picture doesn't show it off, but It has a very small trunk. And remember all those bags in the beginning?
Yeah,
That would-
they didn't fit. So we had some in the back seat. And off we went. So it was our trusty Dusty. Also, it's a duster. So we were at the national park. I tried to exclude in my pictures the number of people that were actually there. It was crowded.
Very crowded.
There was people everywhere, but and on our drive here, we just kept gawking everywhere about just the different geology, all formed by volcanoes. Just
Yeah, everything looks very different.
yeah. And by the way, that water in the background, that is not the ocean. That's a ginormous lake we had to drive around to get to the national park. But yeah, so we were walking in all kinds of places within this park, little ponds, waterfalls. We were so excited to see a waterfall. Come to find out, you can hardly move without seeing a waterfall in Iceland.
They're everywhere.
They call them fosses. So anything that ends in foss is a waterfall. And so we were kind of enamored. So took a ton of pictures of the very first one because it was, really cool. This is that odd connector path, I remember. And I was surprised. I don't know why I was surprised, but I was surprised to see all the birch trees there. But yeah, just lava rock, and it's just so rough. What else do you say, right?
And a lot of moss.
Yeah, moss all over everything. But yeah, it was great. We had a fun time. We walked a lot in that park all over. This is just a representation of the number of pictures we have in that park. Then we jumped in our trusty Dusty and off we went. And then we went over and we had lunch. This place, I remember this one. We stopped on the road. Remember, and we looked up. It was kind of uphill. And we looked up there and I said, that looks like a farm. Are we sure that's a restaurant? And somebody else went around us and went in. So we decided we'd follow them. So the place was amazing. Wonderful food. They had that soup bar, which a couple different soups and fresh bread. You just go get it. This is looking out the window. So when I say it looked like it was a farm, yeah, it sort of was.
And the restaurant was kind of in the barn.
Yeah. Yeah, behind Brook is a row of tables, and those tables are up against a railing in glass. And when you look in the glass, you're looking at the cows.
Yeah, kind of down in the first floor of the barn.
Yeah, it was fun, but you can see our bowls. We had soup and bread and all kinds of deliciousness while we were there. And then we went from there to the next, to the geyser. The ground was steaming and bubbling, and I was standing here taking these pictures, and somebody came along and explained to us that this is the precursor and there's actually a geyser. I never did get a picture of the geyser, and I had been awake for so many hours, I didn't have the patience to try it again. Because how often did it go off? Was it?
It's like every 10 to 15 minutes,
yeah.
and it was an irregular interval. And every time we were ready to give up,
It would go,
It
and
would
so
go
then
off.
it'd force us to stay again to catch the next one.
yeah.
And it just, yeah, we just never got a picture of this thing. Again, super tired, and we were going to go out to Gullfoss out there, but we didn't end up doing that.
On our way to
On
the
our
crate.
way to the crater, again, hadn't slept. Brooke had fallen asleep on that particular journey, headed to the crater. And then apparently I fell asleep. Fortunately, I didn't fall asleep for very long. And thank goodness Iceland has these really awesome divots on the sides of the road. So it woke me up and we stayed on the road and it was fine. But man, the adrenaline I've never done that before or since. So we made it to the crater.
Thankful to be alive.
Yep. So we walked around the crater. You can see people on the far side, and that's what we did. We did an entire circle tour. You can see some people in the bottom as well. There's a way to get down there. See on the left, right there, you can see the staircase that goes down.
So together we did the upper, and then I left you and I went down. and
Right.
did the-
I had had enough walking and was tired. And so you went down into the crater and I went to keep the car company. So there's the path you took. Let's see if this shows. Yeah, this should show up. So this is the path you took down into the crater. Meanwhile, our trusty Dusty, I believe, is that one right there. But yeah, it was fun. We walked all around the crater and you went into the bottom. And then it was time to head to our hotel, Hotel Orc. And this is the view out of the window of our room. I was surprised at how green it was in this town after all the dark lava and everything else. This one just felt different. So this was our first night of sleep in Iceland. And we were kind of chuckling because it was basically 2 twin beds next to each other with a queen sheet that sort of made them like the same bed, but you each had separate bedding.
And this was a theme through the trip.
Yeah, but we sort of did actually like having separate bedding. It turns out we were both okay with it. We laughed and chuckled at first, but then afterwards we're like,
That kind of
it
works.
was kind of nice. So, oh my gosh, we had some good food there. Remember that? It kind of was a weird space for the food. Remember that? You went up to second floor, and then it was up a few stairs, and it was just that odd area.
The restaurant?
Yeah. I don't know. So this is a picture out on the balcony. This is not our balcony. You walk to the end of the hall, and there's a balcony on every floor. So that's the path we walked up into town, all the way down there, and went walking around. There's our trusty Dusty again, right? The next morning, we went to this bakery that was just called Ulmar Bakery. And this is just the bread.
It was amazing.
Oh, and the pastries they had. And the thing about Iceland's pastries is they're wonderful, they're delicious, and they just aren't all sugar. I mean, it's actual flavors and things. It was wonderful. Jump in the car, off we went, and so we went down to a town called the Hella. I just called it Hell. And we had lunch at the legendary Nordic restaurant. It was empty. It was on a river. Again, cold, blustery, raining, so nobody was on the deck. But yeah, it had a super long deck, and the food was wonderful. I enjoyed it. So then off in the car we went. We went to Gluggafoss. Okay, I'm probably, again, butchering the name, but guess what? It ends in Foss, so yes, it's more waterfall. We just had a fun time checking out the waterfall from 5,000 different angles. There it is see how it's carved its way down through the rock? That was fun. Okay, so the camera focused on my sleeve, but you can see all the rainwater on my sleeve right there. It was wet, blustery. And then Brooke said, "Hey, there's a path over there. Let's go climb that path." I'm like, "It's wet, rainy, and slippery. Are you sure?" "Oh, sure." So you can see the parking lot down there and our cars down there. And this is the path. Comes up and goes over here. And so we went a little ways, and then it was, well, maybe we should go just a little farther. Please note the path goes up and up and up.
Yeah.
And then every time you think, nope, it goes up. So, yeah, I wore those gloves today.
Yeah. We went up.
So every time I thought we were as high as we should be, we started going up. So please note the waterfall there is getting closer as we keep going up. So gorgeous. Look at my flood pants. Oh my God. Let's not buy them the right length. Let's just have our socks hang out.
You still wear those pants.
Shh, don't tell him that. So, yep, we're up higher, and the cars are getting smaller. And yes, of course, Brooke is ahead of me. Wow, there was a lot more of me to love then, wasn't there? So we kept going up
Look where she's making me go.
and up. Remember that waterfall in the distance? Yeah, it's getting closer. It was good. It was fun. Just the greens, just amazing. So then you see in here, you can see this right here that looks like it really was at one point, probably still is, like a dirt road or gravel road. Matter of fact, there was a gate over here. I mean, we couldn't get to drive on it with our trusty Dusty, but anyway, to the left of this, just down a ways, was this other little tiny park. And remember, this park it was nice and flat. You drove in and everything was fine. And then it said bus parking and some other car parking. And then the road went straight up. And then really bumpy, windy, muddy. And of course, our trusty Dusty, we just kept going. So, and it was just this quaint little park. It was really cool. These pictures don't capture how it felt when we were there. It was just wonderful. And then there were some cabins where people could stay. Okay, maybe not, but they were cute. So we had a good time there too. So then we jumped in the car after going up there. And then we went to another waterfall. Yes. Okay, now please note, towards the bottom of this waterfall, to give you an idea of how large it is, that's a person. Right there. That's a person. So, yeah. And you could go there's a path to go behind the waterfall, but everybody that was coming out looked like wet rats.
They had gone through a shower. Yeah.
So we chose not to go through it. But it was just, so beautiful. And then we went walking down towards this other area. I forget the name. But, and of course, I was enamored with all the sheep.
They were everywhere.
Well, yes, but they weren't close to us ever. Well, except for those two. We'll get to those later. But, so again, on our way, there was even other waterfalls coming down. So this is the one we went to. This one is called... Yeah, I'm not going to pronounce that. Gljufrabui. Yeah, that's what it is. But it was cool. You just look through there. And we actually walked.
Part way, yeah.
Well, over to that big rock on the right, the lower big rock on the right. We walked in there, but it was misting and water falling on us so much. We didn't have a picture. But this is a picture looking back at that ginormous waterfall from where we had hiked to that little one. And it actually cleared. It's like I didn't remember it being that blue sky or whatever, but... Okay, more sheep, yes.
Sheep butt.
That was an ass end of a sheep right there. This is moss. It's kind of mossy. And then we drove a ways. It's not on our map, or I got the slides wrong. But anyway, there was this cave there. Now watch, it's now going to tell us the cave, right? It's now going to stop at the cave. Nope, another waterfall. Oh yeah, I remember this waterfall. So there was a few thousand people at this waterfall, and everybody kept trying to get in front of other people to get pictures without anybody in their picture. And they kept leapfrogging, and I said I wasn't going to bother doing that. And then everybody got disgusted with all the leapfroggers but they were the leapfroggers and they left, so I was able to get your picture. The rainbows, the waterfalls. Now, you see those stairs? Yeah.
Those stairs wouldn't be legal in the United States.
They would not, but Brooke had us hiking up those stairs, so off we went. Now you see that waterfall? Well, just up before that waterfall, it's flat. Ask me how I know. Yep, we hiked up there. All those stairs. Why isn't there a picture of the stairs? We were fearing for our life. There wasn't anybody going to stop and take pictures on those stairs. But yeah, that's where we were. Birds flying through. Then we made it back down and there's more sheep. So I jumped in the car. Now remember, this is day 2. So we made it down to the famous black sand beach.
Which is incredibly beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
And is very black.
Yeah. Now that big rock formation in the distance, we found out later, has been used in a couple of different movie sets along with the Black Beach. So here we are in the Black Beach. It's just amazing. Oh, the house we stayed at. So we arrived at the bed and breakfast. Mm-hmm. They weren't expecting us.
Right. They didn't have our reservation.
Supposedly didn't have our reservation. But then showed us to the room that we actually reserved. I'm assuming they never said anything else to us about it. So we have to assume that they got the money and they were good with it, or we wouldn't have stayed there. We had the quote unquote private room. So it was like a bedroom and a bedroom, or a main room and a bedroom.
Yeah.
But then it said that it had a private bathroom. Well, the private bathroom was, you leave your bedroom, you go into the kitchen.
Through the common kitchen that was shared.
Through the shared common kitchen to a door, unlabeled mystery door in the back that we were the only ones with a key to, that was our private bathroom. So you'd be passing these people, saying good morning in the kitchen while they were making their toast. And I'm going in and locking the door and jumping in the shower. Yeah. I'm sure it was just, it was odd, but yeah. Anyway, the reason I jumped into that story was we told the lady we were going to go down to the Black Beach. And she said, well, just go down there and park. Don't worry about paying, because I'm the one that takes care of the parking lot. Mm-hmm. And I'll just note your license plate. And if there's anything in there about you're not paying, I'll take care of it, or whatever. I don't know. So, but yeah, again, just the rock formations. You got the Black Beach and the rock. I don't know if it's coming in clear enough to see it, but it was just so different. Mm-hmm. So then sunset, we walked along the beach.
And we don't have a good picture of it, but overnight the tide came up.
And cleared it all.
So
all the footprints.
Yeah. So the next morning, there were no footprints on the beach.
When you were there running early.
Yeah. It was amazing.
So was there anybody else down there?
Yeah, when I was running back, I passed a couple of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you were first.
I was first.
Okay, good to know. Oh, and then the restaurant. Mm-hmm. So
the little building.
Yeah, that one building right there. It was actually a restaurant. So we went in and I wanted to eat there because of the desserts I saw. And so we placed our order and then sat at a table. And then the person that took our order went over and locked the door.
They were closing.
Well, yeah, we figured that out. But at first it was kind of weird. You're in there and all of a sudden they lock you in. And then other people would come up and look in and try and get in. And here we are.
Sitting there eating.
Getting food and eating, and it's locked. So that was interesting. It was fun. So is this the next? No, there's a lot of footprints. This isn't the next morning. This is probably after dinner. We walked all over on that beach. Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. very far in the distance on your left. You see all the clouds? Yeah. So the next morning, I'll get back to those clouds. The next morning we got up, getting ready to pack, and I had to say hello to the bunny rabbits. And then there was some strange bird that decided Trusty Dusty was a good place to hang out. Said hello to, or goodbye, essentially, to the dogs that were hanging out. Of course, we didn't know they were there until that morning. And then we were leaving. And the reason we took this picture is we had no idea the previous day, as you saw, it was all cloudy. We had no idea that the mountains and the glaciers and everything was right there. When we drove in, you couldn't see any of that. It was just, again, this picture doesn't show it, but it was just so awe-inspiring. So we zipped around to the little town of Vic. We asked the people, where should we get coffee? And they said, you have to go to the School Beans Cafe.
Here it is.
And it's in a bus, and you have to essentially know it's here. You aren't going to just happen by. But
yeah, it was off the
highway, then off of pavement.
Yeah, off the side road, the dead end. Yeah, it was.
You had to know it was here, but it was crowded. It was crowded, and here is Brook's drink. What was it? Do you remember what it was?
I don't know. It wasn't in English.
Yeah, neither one of us were going to pronounce it.
It had like coconut flakes and flower leaves. It was like a lavender, flowery kind of, but it was delicious.
Yeah. So I had coffee.
Yeah.
That's what I had. Just normal coffee. So Viking Park, we did not go there. And then that place, the whatever, we stopped there. There's no pictures of it. It was that strange hill thing with like 15 steps, and you got up to the top, and we were like, what is this?
Yeah, there wasn't much to see.
So we turned around and left. But on the way there, we pulled off onto this. It was mossy lava fields.
Yeah, and it wasn't marked, and yet there were some other people.
Parking. There was a parking lot and a path. Remember, a marked path, and they asked you to stay on the path.
Yeah.
But it just looked so freaky.
They didn't want you going out into it to damage it.
Yeah.
And it was just the most otherworldly looking, and it just went on and on.
Yeah.
And
it was
it was the craziest thing.
Yeah. So we left there, and then, we went up to this scenic spot. We did not stop at that waterfall. We just kept going because we had seen a few waterfalls here and there. But this is just some of the way the landscape looked. This is a section where it had an eruption under a glacier, and it melted.
The glacier.
Melted the glacier, and the glacier caused the lava to turn into small rock, sand, whatever, and it would just flow out. So you had these...
And the glacier flooded the area.
Yeah, flooded the area. So you had all this flood plain with dark rock like this you'd go through every once in a while. But then we went to this, the scenic spot. I'm not going to pronounce that name. I should have thrown it up on the screen. But yeah, and it just looks so different. And it was I didn't remember how many blue sky days there were. So then we left there and we went to the glacier. So we started walking down to the edge of this glacier. There was a few people there. This was not jam-packed like a lot of places we had been.
There were other people.
But now the thing about this is down here, this is all glacier. This part isn't. But this is glacier right here.
It's just dirty.
It's just dirty. Yeah, essentially.
The leading edge. Yeah.
And people were jumping out onto it. And then we were standing there and we heard the dreaded sound of cracking, and we ran down to the edge and we got to actually see it calve. And it just deposited this piece.
Yeah, the whole chunk just
oh my gosh, it fell off from right over here. right in there. And we were just, oh. And then other people came down, and now they're like, oh, we're going to stay here and watch it calve. And I'm thinking, I don't think it does it that often. I think you missed it.
Yeah.
But oh, that was just once in a lifetime kind of thing. And this is all the other pieces
Right.
that have calved off and just drifted over here to melt.
So maybe it's happened before. But
well, yeah, no, it happens. But I mean, you're not going to just stand there and, 20 minutes. It's not like the geyser that's regular. But yeah, pardon us for taking 5,000 pictures, but it was just so different. Every direction you look, it was different. We walked around there for quite some time. Now, I believe, is this the one where I'm taking the reflection? And you're taking a picture of me taking the reflection?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
No, this is the one where I took a picture of that yellow flower.
Oh.
Again, repetitive pictures. Look at the fat boy taking pictures. My pants are lower. What happened? Did I shrink? They must be falling down or something. Yeah. It's just so different from anything we're used to seeing. And yeah, the edge of it was dirty.
Here we've got the reflection.
Here's the reflections. Yeah, these were fun to take. The glacier in the background, the hills in the background.
The colors were so different there, the orange and yellow vegetation.
Yeah. Yeah, see, it's talking about don't do this, this, and this because you'll get in trouble, you'll fall. Mm-hmm. And we saw people doing it anyway. So as amazing as that was, we left there. And we had marked a bunch of things we were going to do.
We didn't do any of them.
But we didn't. So this day had a super long drive. We talked about it when we were planning, and we just decided that, well, I pushed for it, and you said okay. I wanted to get up to the fjords, which is where our car is there in this picture. And this was actually the day of my birthday. Mm-hmm. So spent most of my birthday in the car driving. Here's the 2 sheep we got the closest to. And when I say the closest, we almost ran them over. Which is not a good thing in Iceland.
No.
Because you then have to go pay the farmer the retail value of their sheep. Mm-hmm. But this is the view from the restaurant. Again, in the fjords. The views were fantastic from this place. Your food, not so much. But the views were good. So this is what you had, right? Mine's in the distance, but this, what was it? Was that like a meat something or?
It was, a veggie sausage thing.
Yeah.
And then you got fish and chips.
And then I got the standard fish and chips. So I was okay. But yeah, it was just a quaint little, cute little town. And then our B&B is way on the other side of that fjord. We had to drive around the fjord to where we were staying. And when we got there, we had a bottle of wine and a hand-carved wood mug as a birthday gift from my daughter. So that was wonderful. So she got sneaky and...
It was a very nice surprise.
Yeah, very nice surprise. So this is our fancy lodge room.
It was actually very spacious.
It was tiny. But it was fun, really fun.
It was very fun.
That's
our bed.
The bed. To give you an idea how big the room is, yeah, the bed touches 3 walls.
Yeah, I had to climb over each other to get in and out.
Yeah. And there's the kitchen.
That was the kitchen.
Yeah, wait for it. We're going to show you the bathroom. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Now, in that shower area, there's no drain. And what happens is it's supposed to drain under this floor tile into the drain here.
But I think something's clogging it.
But yeah, there was something clogging it. So you sort of were standing in a lake. And you'd have to turn the water off every once in a while to let the lake drain. But
it was quaint.
It was an experience. It was fun. So there's kind of the whole layout.
Yeah, there was that little loft if you were traveling with kids or something. That was...
Yep. And this is the view out our window back towards where that restaurant was. We went for a walk. It just felt, the skies and everything just felt so dramatic.
And they did call it a hostel. We stayed in kind of a hotel portion.
Right.
Where we did have a private room. They did have an area that was more of a hostel with shared rooms.
They did. But they also had a campground.
And then they had the campground where everyone had the tents set up. Yes.
And we met. I went out to the Trusty Dusty. And next to us was I got to talking with that lady from the room next to us, apparently, because we both had dusters. And we were both talking. They love their duster. Weren't they from the Netherlands? Yes.
Yes.
They were from the Netherlands. And they were there for twice as long as we were. And what they did is, unlike us, where we'd go somewhere and stay just overnight and then keep going, they would do like a 1 or 2 single nights, but then they'd plop in a location. And so we actually found them in a grocery store a few stops later.
Yeah, and they were on the same...
Yeah, they were on the same path as us, but they were staying in that place in that town for 3 days, whereas we were just overnight again because we were on a tight schedule. But
yeah, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, this is standing out on our steps, looking off towards the sunset. You see where it bumps out there? That's where you went to have breakfast. Heavenly breakfast.
It was
of all the breakfasts, this takes the cake. This is the winner. It was just this smorgasbord of things. That was just, it reminded me of living when I lived in Sweden. It was just the way it was set up and the food and everything. All they needed was some smorgos, and I would have been in heaven. That bread.
The caraway bread. It was...
Somebody may have stuck a piece in their purse. I'm not going to say who.
For later, yes.
I won't say who, but that may have been a thing. May have been.
It was just the most amazing bread.
Okay, you asked permission, but it was great. So then we went driving, and again, this is all in the fjords. And so we stopped. This was not on our original plan, but there was this pullout. And it was gorgeous, so why not stop? So we did. And then we started walking, and what you may or may not know about Brook, you'll learn eventually if you stick with us on our videos, but Brook likes to go, well, let's just go a little further. Let's just go over here. Well, oh, look, we haven't seen this over here. So let's check that out. Now here you can see our car. No, you can't. It's too far away. It's way over there. But no, it was fun. And then we kept going. Oh, there's the car. There's the car.
Now you found it.
There's the car. That's not a trailer. That was somebody else. They were just in their car. Remember how windy it was?
It was
so
incredibly windy. It almost blew I think there was a sign in the parking about being careful with your car doors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the one with the careful of your car doors. Oh, and they also told us that when we rented the car, there's this pictograph thing about parking into the wind. So when you open your doors, you have to push your doors open rather than opening them, the wind catching them and ripping them off.
Yeah.
That nearly happened once.
Yeah. That's a thing in Iceland.
Based on real life events. So they really didn't have, like we have here, paths, so to speak. It's
sort of kind of marked.
Kind of marked with those posts.
And you sort of just see where people
you sort of aim for the next post, and you could, you can see, but which made it fun because they all didn't stick to the same trail, so you might not know where you were. Often I stepped down, and next thing I know, I had a couple of soakers, getting your feet wet. My pants are down.
Yeah, so Michael brought what, 2 pairs of pants and several pairs of shorts.
It is not my fault. I had 4 pairs of shorts and 2 pairs of long pants. Apparently, I was going to a different Iceland, the warm land, rather than Iceland. So you really won't ever see many pictures of me without my down jacket, if that gives you a hint on how often I wore shorts. I brought all those shorts home clean again. But yeah, we took that was just so much fun.
It was.
We just had a great time. And again, we were just in awe at all the various things we saw.
And the coastline is just beautiful.
And it can be so different just around the corner. Mm-hmm. You just never know. And then we pulled off here. I can't say why, because you told me I couldn't tell them that you had to go pee. So we stopped here. We'll edit that out. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so I'm showing her where would be the best spot. She went somewhere else. Yeah, I'm sure those car people didn't mind. Anyway, but no, again, it was just looked so different. And so we explored that area even. And just look at the background. I mean, even the foreground of where we were. And then there's the background. It was just so amazing. Yes, there's more sheep. And then we left that. And we came around. Oh, here, before we come off this, there's something I want to point out. So this is important. So right here, this is Highway 1. This is the main highway we were following, okay? Bear in mind, I and our trusty Dusty said, nope.
We're going to take the path
We're going to go take over here on this dirt road. You remember that? Then it had been washed away. And so you're going through this construction. Oh, we didn't have a picture of it because we were gritting our teeth, but
fearing for our lives.
You have to admit it was gorgeous and it was fun.
And there were spots where, had there been somebody coming from the other direction, we don't know what we would have done.
Yeah, but there was nobody there because they didn't advise travel, so it was okay. It worked out fine. And then we went to this restaurant.
Where we celebrated life.
Having made it alive. But no, this restaurant was good. And I may have had some pastries. And then we're in this restaurant and I said, hey, I found this path. It follows this waterway. Do you want to go? And you said, of course. Mm-hmm. And so we got out of the restaurant and you went in the car. And I looked at you and said, what are you doing? You said, I thought we were going on this walk. And I said, yes, the path starts 20 feet from this restaurant. So we started hiking. Is this when I put my rain pants? No, I didn't have rain pants on for this. Mm-mm. That was later.
Not yet.
And what this doesn't show is the path actually went behind quite a few houses. So we also were gawking at the various houses and things.
It was kind of between the river and the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was just the neighborhood path.
Well, then, but then town quit and the path kept going.
Yeah.
Which now we're into the part where the town quit. See? Mm-hmm. We are out of town. But yeah, that's the town we just hiked up from. And the cafe is like a block off that water. And we drove in from the other side of that opening / fjord there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're just walking and walking. You can see the little waterway there. Went over the cute little bridge. Oh man, look, I was sweating. What the heck? It was just so fun. And I mean, the flowers and things. Now, there was this waterway, and I got across it in one place. Now, bear in mind, I have a 36-inch inseam, so I could leap. Mm-hmm. And you just could never find a spot to go over it.
It looks like you should be able to make your way across.
And that's how we ended up so far back in this valley. That is Brook way in the distance.
I kept thinking, oh, right here's
right here, just a little ahead. And then you'd get there and you couldn't.
I'd get partway across and then there was no...
It looks like you should be able to just walk across it. And so then you go up to it and you can't. And you keep going, And this is the part, I'll admit, when I was too overly confident on my way back. Yeah, I stepped, the boulder moved and just sploosh, and I was wet even up to my flood pants. Mm-hmm. They weren't tall enough for that. Most of the fun we had on this trip is a lot of the funnest times were when we just suddenly found something and went. Mm-hmm. All right, so welcome back.
Glad to be here.
Technical difficulties, so if this section doesn't feel smooth with the other, we know why. It's a different night. It's actually different equipment, and here we go. Our expedition up on that hill was a blast. It was a lot of fun. I was breathless. And then after getting a soaker and walking around, remember we debated, there's a trail on the far side over there.
Yeah, I think I wanted to go.
But we weren't, I think so. But we weren't sure where it would go and if it would take us back to town. And I wasn't sure that I was up for that much longer of a trip. We went down the way we came, and then you could see this is the on the way down. This is the waterfall we hiked up. So keep in mind, and I don't know if you can see the mouse, but I'm pointing up there in the valley between those two is where we ended up walking when we followed this water. But it was a blast. And then this is us walking down. Now keep in mind, our car is a block, if that, off the water down there. But again, this is going down. So once we got down, we jumped in the car and we headed back to our hotel, Lake Hotel, in a larger town. This day was shorter than some. We purposely made it shorter because this town was a larger town. And this is the view from our hotel room. It was a gorgeous older hotel. I say older, but it was gorgeous inside and out. On the lake, once again.
His and hers.
His and hers. Here we are, sleeping in separate beds. Mm-hmm. It made fighting over blankets
non-existent.
Yeah, non-existent. It was great. And then we ate dinner in this hotel. We had to go get reservations, so we went and found somebody to get reservations. And
the food was amazing.
The food was amazing. Once again, we walked around the town. We had a good time. You remember, we were in the grocery store and we saw the couple from the Netherlands that were in the cabin next to ours, and they themselves were driving the Trusty Dusty. Mm-hmm. And they had ended up in this town as well, but their trip was different than ours. Ours was go, 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 go. Theirs was go.
Stay for a while.
Stay at small places overnight. But then when they hit a city like this one, they were planning to stay 3 or 4 days. They had rented an apartment. Mm-hmm. So they were staying for a while. The next day we left there. We went to, you guessed it, a waterfall because there weren't too many of those. It was remember it was cold and the clouds were thick. Well, okay, the whole trip was cold. I keep repeating that, but yeah. The clouds were thick, and we saw this first foss, the waterfall. It wasn't that big, but it was fun. And then we left there, and we went past this place. We decided not to stop. I think it was weather, drizzle, and so Brooke took a picture of it. Don't blink, there it is. Okay, we drove right by.
Yep, it was a blur.
I'm trying to remember what it was, but that's it. We drove past it. Good times. We kept going because we got to, you guessed it, another waterfall. And this one was different. It split. It was a lot of fun. Kind of haggard from our trip, you can tell. And then we kept going. Now, on our drive from leaving this place, we got to Rosseborg, but it is this crater. However, at the time, either the map wasn't good enough or something, but we didn't realize that it was a crater, was that close to us. All we knew is that the whole place looked like scorched earth everywhere you looked. And we knew it was from a volcano, but we didn't realize we were that close to a crater itself.
Just that black volcanic rock as far as you could see.
Yeah, everywhere.
Cold, wet, drizzly.
Black.
Yeah.
That was crazy. So then we left there and we drove quite a ways, and we arrived at the geothermal site, which was again, all of Iceland felt out of world, but this was extra crazy. It's private property.
Yeah.
They charge for parking, which I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it's not a park. It's actually private property. The ground is oozing and spewing steam, and the wind's blowing, and it's cold, and you don't want to stand in the hot steam because it reeks of sulfur. I was standing next to this, and we did not get a picture of it, but when I was standing next to this, some person, I think it was a guy, doesn't matter, some person came over, and was it just their hands or their face? I thought it was their hands. They were feeling the steam, and everywhere you were, there were signs about burning yourself.
Cautioning you not to burn yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just, we wanted to stay longer, but I think the smell and the burning eyes and nose,
burning
we did
sulfur.
not stay as long as we thought we would.
Yeah, we sort of just kept moving.
Yeah.
And so we left there and we went around the corner to this wonderful restaurant. And while it wasn't a wonderful restaurant. It was a restaurant. It was a restaurant. It was a quaint restaurant. And the only reminiscence we have of the restaurant is when Brook said, "Oh, what a cute patio, take a picture." So there you go. That's how we remember this restaurant.
Nobody's sitting on it, but
it was, again, cold, rainy, overcast, windy.
And it was soup and bread. Mm-hmm.
So then we left there. We went to what we refer to as Iceland's Niagara Falls.
Oh, this was amazing.
This was amazing. We hiked along the top at first and then went back and took treacherous staircase down. Mm-hmm. Now, when I say staircase, it's carved rock with a rope around metal rebar is what's holding the rope. So not ADA approved. We were hanging out there at the Niagara Falls wannabe, but it was just so gorgeous and amazing. Okay, so these pictures, apparently we were time warping from up to the bottom and then back up, and now we're at the bottom again, but don't let that bother you. Mm-hmm. And then there was this guy all by himself that offered to take our picture. We offered to take pictures of him and for him, and he chose not to, and that was fine. It was different. It felt different. I don't know why. And then this is us on our way back just before we climbed the stairs. And this is just all the lava rock and everything that formed it. And here's those stairs. So as you can see, it's just carved rock, rebar drilled into the stairs with rope.
Don't slip.
Yeah, don't slip. Here it is again. We were quite overly enamored with this set of falls.
It was beautiful. And the pictures just don't capture it.
Oh, no, they don't. Just like if you see pictures of Niagara Falls, it really just doesn't do it justice. So then we went down to the Centrum Hotel. And this was a fairly large city. And this is us driving towards it. So the city we're headed towards is actually the one in the distance across the water.
Mm-hmm. We had to go up and across the bridge.
Yeah, you could go all the way to the end of the fjord, but that would have added an hour. Instead, when you get towards the skinny part, there was a bridge to jump across. But Brook was shooting these while we were driving our trusty Dusty down there. So here it is. Again, if the mouse shows, this is the bridge we went across right away. Instead of going all the way down to the bottom, we came in this direction, across the bridge, and up into town. And then that's a picture of our hotel. We were on the 3rd floor, and it's been over a year, so I don't remember which window was ours. Did we have our window open?
I don't know.
I don't remember. So it's one of those, 3rd floor. Oh, by the way, you don't take the elevator because there isn't one. Oh, and remember when we got there? So here, the door to the hotel is the left of the restaurant, but it's locked. It says check in at the restaurant. So the front desk is the cash register at the bar.
Yes.
That's how you check into this hotel. It worked perfectly fine. No complaints. It was just different. Very different. And there's Trusty parked outside of our hotel.
We nabbed a great parking spot.
Come to find out, parking spots were hard to come by, and we ended up with people leaving just as we pulled in. We didn't think anything of it. And then later, others were complaining about how horrible it was to find a parking spot. So this is also the town where we went shopping for my pants.
Yes. Because Michael chose to go to Iceland with only 2 pairs of pants.
No. I had 6 pairs of things you'd wear down there.
On your legs.
Yes, 4 of which were shorts. Why I had shorts in Iceland, I don't know. And then we had the incident where we were on the hike, and I had put my rain pants over one of my pants to keep them dry because I had so few of them, and all that did was hold all the sweat in, and it was gross. And so we had to buy new pants. So, and just in case you were wondering, Icelanders are not the size of me when I was in Iceland, and it took us quite a while to find anything that would fit. Reed, stretchy sweatpants, but fancy.
We finally found them.
Yeah, fancy, stretchy sweatpants made in Iceland. I still love them.
It's gorgeous.
It was absolutely gorgeous. So this is walking around town. Oh, you remember? There was that guy that had caught that fish. He was so proud of that fish. We saw him 2 or 3 times. He was lifting it up, showing people in buses as they go by.
And he's walking through town with his fish.
With his fish, yeah.
Stringer.
He was pretty happy with that fish.
Not something you see in Minneapolis.
Yeah. Well, he was fishing in the ocean/fjord when he caught it. So then we had dinner in the same restaurant as our hotel, only because we weren't quite sure. We wanted to try other options. And again, the food here was amazing. This one was amazing.
It was very good.
It was very good. The next morning was a short one as well, if I recall. And because it was short, we decided and found a botanical gardens up on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't quite raining when we started. And the good news is that the sky sort of cleared up for us, if I remember right.
It was very pleasant.
So we walked around the botanical garden, and it was interesting, the plants that are, close to what we have here in Minnesota, and then other plants that I'd never seen before. This was a gathering area. They had a little coffee shop out front. And then, isn't this kohlrabi?
Kale.
Kale? Kale.
It's decorative kale.
Decorative kale. Can you eat it?
I don't.
Okay.
I would assume.
We didn't eat it, nor did I see rabbits, so who knows? Type in the comments down there if you can eat decorative kale. But yeah, as you can see, the sky actually cleared up while we were there. It was fun. So we took this to, just as a memory of everything we had seen. And then, and after this, then we headed out of town. A much different way to get out of town than the way we had gotten there. And so then we were headed, and we drove a long ways. And then it was quite a different view. The countryside, I felt, was different. And then we stopped at a site that was a memorial dedicated to the last execution in Iceland. Oh, do you remember the year? I don't remember the year, but long time ago. They do not have executions there anymore.
It was a gorgeous day.
It was. And then
was very windy. It was blow you over kind of.
Oh yeah, it was. Like I walked on the leeward or the inward side of the trail into the wind in case it blew me over. I could adjust quickly. And then along the path were those plaques you can see in the foreground telling some stories about what this person did and why they were put to death and about capital punishment itself. Then this was the location of the death.
This was just the landscape around that area, the plants growing up from the lava rock. So that black lava rock is under there, but it's
covered in mossy grass.
And it gives it this just another worldly look,
Yeah, I know we keep saying that, but that's what it is.
It really, everything there just looks so different than what we have here.
Yeah. So we left there and we went to...
You say it.
I'm not saying that. Hammerstangi. Yeah, okay. Somebody will tell us what that is. And so when we got there, we drove to the hotel we were going to stay at.
But they weren't open yet.
They weren't open. So we decided we'd just go wander around town. So this picture is taken back towards town off of a pier. Now, over on the left side, and again, I don't know if my mouse is showing up or not. Over on the left side is the Seal Museum in the bottom. This town was, a drop in the bucket, tiny. So there weren't a lot of things, especially for tourists. So we went into the Seal Museum. I don't think I've ever sat and concentrated on a quick little video at some museum place, as much as we did here. Why? Because we had hours. It was mostly interesting. They work on donations, and they had a little shop where we bought a cup of coffee and hung out, and we looked at every exhibit. I think we read every exhibit.
It was not very large, and we were trying to just spend some time.
Yep. And then up here, this is the grocery store. I think we went in there for something, got whatever it was out of the grocery store, right? And then the most important thing in this town was above the Seal Museum was the restaurant. Oh, it was so wonderful. Oh, actually, before we went to the restaurant, though, I'm sorry, we stopped at the restaurant, made reservations. They kind of chuckled at us. Apparently, there wasn't going to be a crowd, but we made reservations anyway.
For later that afternoon.
And didn't we have to talk to the second person because the first person wasn't comfortable with English? Remember, didn't I end up with somebody else? I think so.
I don't remember that.
Anyway, so then we went for a drive. And then we went up along the fjord. And the reason I chose this direction was they said the road's closed. So we took our trusty dusty all-wheel drive diesel vehicle and started heading up the road to look at the fjord. It was fun. Yes, it's the same lighthouse. There isn't different ones. But this is where we were. And the reason we have a picture of this lighthouse thingamadoohickey marker was because after this point, not only did the road say it was closed, but I wasn't sure even the trusty dusty was going to get through any further. Took a bunch more pictures and off we went. And then we went back to town. This is the picture out the window where we were sitting for dinner. So that pier we had been walking on is just to the left of this. And the food, oh my goodness. This was Brook's meal. So go ahead and tell the folks what it was.
Soup and bread.
Okay, good.
But the butter was served, the earth butter was served on the rock, which was very
Don't eat the rock.
Yeah, don't eat
Safety tip, yeah.
Yeah. But it was just unique. Very, very tasty.
Yeah. And then as far as I was concerned, I won.
I don't think so, but
I won that meal. Then after dinner, we went back to the hotel so we could check in.
Because it was time.
It was time.
Open.
We don't have a picture to go with this part, but we went back to the hotel. We walked in and said, Brook and Mike Wheeler, we'd like to check in. Oh, great. Nice seeing you. So glad you're here. And we did this right when they opened. I mean, this was 4:30 and they opened their doors at 4 or something like that. And she said, I said, Mike Wheeler, couldn't find it. We said, Brook Wheeler, she couldn't find it. Do you have the phone number? She couldn't find it. And I said, oh, wait.
You pulled up our reservation.
Because I actually was organized and had a copy of the reservation for every single night. And for those of you that don't know, that's uncharacteristic of me.
Yes.
So I pulled it up and she said, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's not this hotel.
That's not here. Or this town.
Or this town, yeah. Yeah, by the way, it's not in town. So she gave us the name
And directions.
and the directions. We left town, and went to backtracked, and then went to our hotel
in this other town.
in the middle of nowhere.
Well,
Their address is actually Hammerstangy or whatever. So they're in the middle of nowhere here. It was a renovated old schoolhouse.
It was.
In the countryside. And so this was a classroom. I think it was half of a classroom or something, but this was part of a classroom.
Previously.
We just used the other bed as luggage rack, holder, whatever. It had its own bathroom in the room with us. This is a view out our window.
And they had horses.
Yes, they had horses. Horses, of courses. But here's the schoolhouse that was now the hotel. But that was actually somebody else's trusty dusty. That's not ours. We're in our car when I took this picture. So then one of the things that they suggest, we either heard them talk about or somebody, in the hotel though, in the dining room, you remember? There was different people at all these tables. And it was just so interesting. We were the only ones speaking English. There were so many other languages in this hotel.
It's just people from everywhere.
I mean, and I don't know why it was so so obvious in this hotel, but I didn't really catch on to that at a lot of the other hotels. Maybe it's just because this one is so far off the beaten path. We left and we went up to the Rock. It's this volcanic rock structure thingy out in the fjord. And so you park and you walk out to the cliff and you look out at this rock.
Mm-hmm.
The reason this picture is great is then from up top, you take a path that goes way down over here and around the corner from this. And then you walk along the beach all the way back to where the rock is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went for quite the hike. I got a couple of soakers. It was very wet. This is a waterfall, not the one by the rock, but this was a different waterfall on our way. And this is us walking on the beach to go see said rock. This is a picture of it as we're getting there. We aren't even there yet. It's a wonderful picture you took. I love this picture.
All the kelp washed up on the beach.
Yeah. And then we got to the rock. It's just so interesting. And I know you're going to be surprised, but it was cold and windy and raining, such that that's me on the left side huddled up against the rock trying to stay warm. I should have really brought a thicker down coat than the one I had. But now remember, people, I'm the one with 4 pairs of shorts.
Right.
So, are we surprised? Oh, not really. Yeah, not really. But we just took way too many pictures of one rock. And if you didn't like the other one, wait, there's more. And then we started our hike back. So this vertical right here in the water is that rock that we had just hiking from. And then this is the trail that we took to go down there. And we made it safely back to our trusty dusty, which a little worse for the wear as far as dirt goes after this many days of adventuring.
Lots of dirt roads.
Lots of dirt roads, lots of adventures. It was a good time. So we left there and started our way back towards the hotel of our last night. But on the way, of course, what did we have to do? We had to eat again.
This was a cute place.
Very cute.
The side of the road.
It was not on our list.
No.
But we found it and drove up there. And then you can tell it was crowded on the patio.
Yeah, it was kind of a sunroom porch kind of situation.
And this was in a hotel.
Yeah. And they had a little indoor restaurant that's was crowded, and we actually asked to be outside or on the porch.
And they said yes.
Mhm.
And then it proceeded to start
To fill up.
to
Yeah.
fill up. After people saw us out there, then after that it started
Mhm.
to fill up. But here's that restaurant. You can see they have the inside, but we were in the glassed in section.
With just a gorgeous view of this little pond and the ducks.
The ducks, yeah. And they had
Yeah.
goats. I wanted to pet the goats.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goats wouldn't let me pet them.
Mhm.
So we left there for a super long drive that I could have thrown a rock down, and we went to yet another crater. Actually, it's a grouping of 3 craters with paths you can hike on. You can see the people at the top. So this is us walking. Trusty Dusty is one of the cars down there.
And once again, there's not a lot of attention to safety.
Note the safety railings on this steep. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here to live and tell about it, though.
That's right. We
lived through it.
Yeah.
So we were fine. On the way back down, we stopped at the rock structure you see at the bottom. It was very educational. Turns out in Iceland, all their sheep are marked as to whose they are. But during the summer months, the sheep roam the entire country.
Well, and they've been doing this for centuries.
Centuries.
This is not
new.
Use, obviously.
Yeah. Well, they have newer versions of this, though. They still use this practice, but the sheep are free roaming sheep throughout the country. And then in the fall, late fall, at some point when they decide, who knows, they round up the sheep. And as the sheep come into that central area, they denote the marking of the sheep and they put it in the appropriate pen with the rest of its sheep. And then the owners of said sheep then take their sheep back for shearing and or wintering, slaughter, mating, all the other things that sheep do, gin rummy in the dark nights and whatever sheep are doing there. So, but that was very interesting. So this is a picture of the other crater taken from the current crater we're standing on. And again, there's the safety guide rails. Little tiny pieces of rebar with rope.
Well, and this area wasn't treacherous, so.
Well, the wind's clipping off the top or trying to knock you into the crater.
And that is true.
But yeah, so we did the circle tour of the entire crater. That road you see going off in the distance is where we drove after this to head to our hotel. Way out in the distance, over in there is our hotel. In any case, we're currently climbing around this crater. And this is looking off in another direction. Just everything just looked so different. And this is us on our way back down towards the parking lot. And our trusty Dusty. That's the crater in the background. That's the moss. Or probably not moss, but that's the way cool vegetation growing up between the lava rocks. It was just so fuzzy.
It was. And it was everywhere.
Yeah. I think this gives you a better idea of how straight up this was.
The stairs had switchbacks.
Yeah, the stairs had switchbacks. Yeah, that's how you know it's kind of crazy. So we were at the Brook or whatever craters. This is a view of both craters. Now we went around the top of the lower crater. There was a path where you could go back and walk around the lower portion of the back crater, but since all you're looking at is the crater and not really able to do much, we didn't proceed that direction. So we jumped in the car and we went to Hotel Hammer. I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced. This was our last night in Iceland.
It was a splurge.
So I splurged. So we arrived to check in, and the gal behind the counter said, "Oh, I see you're in the best room we have." And I said, "Yes, I hope so." No, I just said yes. So this is looking at our off out the back of our room at our deck. That's our private deck off the putting green and hole, whatever number hole that is.
We had the corner
room, yeah, at the end. And being that we're such avid golfers,
True.
we can tell you all about it.
I couldn't believe people were out there golfing.
Yeah, it's crazy. But this is the entryway to our room, not the whole room. This is just the entryway where you have your hanging items and you can put your shoes, and there's a desk and there's a coffee maker and there's all kinds of stuff. And then as you stand in the entryway looking at the room, you've got the door that we just took the picture of our private patio. You see that couch there. There's windows all along the back of that couch because, again, we're at the end of the hotel in the corner. And you can see that it's two beds next to each other. So we had our separate blankies again. And then around that television on your left was our snazzy bathroom with the walk-in shower, the tub, the toilet, and the double sink. It was wonderful. The next day, our last day in Iceland. Well, actually that night, we went to Borgarnes and walked around that night.
We did.
We had time. We tried to make reservations for one place at dinner, remember? And they were
Oh, yeah.
That guy was a crack up, wonderful guy. There weren't a lot of things open, but we found a coffee shop.
We tried to go to the liquor store, but they were closed already. They closed very early there. And we ended up at the coffee shop that ironically was still open.
Yep. Thank goodness. This was my cup of mocha coffee. Oh, to die for. A little shaved chocolate. Oh. And then the icing on the cake. Get it? Get it? Never mind. Was carrot cake. I love carrot cake. I had my piece of carrot cake. And then after that, we went for a walk in town, down past the restaurant we weren't able to get into, down to the beach. And we walked around one direction, came up through that park, then through town, out the other side of the point, because this is on a point of land. And then this looks back at the mountains, if you will, that I had pointed out from when we were at the crater. And then we went back to our hotel and we had dinner in our hotel, which we are not complaining about. Again,
very good.
Wonderful food. This is yours. Because I remember I had the stuffed green peppers. And then, of course, the last night, and as you can tell in the pictures, I certainly wasn't on any type of a diet. So we each ordered dessert, had to split and share them a bit, though. I went to sleep.
The food was just amazing everywhere you went.
Most everywhere. Let me add this, though. We never had bad food. It just was some places where like they had restaurants in the gas stations. Surprisingly enough, those were often very nice. Good. Yeah.
Not fancy, but
not
good.
Fancy, but we never had bad food anywhere that I can recall. Mm-hmm. So then the next morning, getting ready to check out of our hotel, I took this with a chuckle because that's the emergency exit. So that was just me.
In case of fire, leap over the stacked chairs.
Leap over the chairs. And then one last snapshot of the wonderful golf course. I was actually outside standing on our private deck on the golf course. Again, we don't know where or what hole or anything. But checkout time was earlier than we needed to head to the airport. So what would you do? Obviously, you'd have to go for morning coffee. And this time, because I won the drinking game the previous night, you had the same mocha coffee I did.
Now there's two.
And then she later brought a piece of carrot cake and you just looked at me because you didn't know I had ordered the carrot cake. So we had the carrot cake. And then, sadly, we left and headed off towards the airport.
So right there.
I was going to show them. Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
To cross the body of water, we actually went under. There was a tunnel.
That's a tunnel. So you come down, you turn around and start going down underground and then you pop up over here.
Yeah, that was interesting
That's the only toll
that we had the whole
that we
trip.
had the whole trip. There was others, we avoided them, but that one we wanted to try it, so we paid the toll to go under. Otherwise, it would have been a long drive
To go around.
in and around the fjord all the way around. Might have been fun, but we did pay the toll.
Just for the experience.
Yeah. When we returned the car, if you recall, we talked about the front of our trusty Dusty. So what I'd like to point out is note the lack of a front license plate. When we turned the car in, they went outside, walked around the car, came back in, we're typing things up, and then just nonchalantly, like it's no big deal, explained that we would have to be paying for them to get another license plate. And I said, what? Knowing that I hadn't hit anything, I hadn't touched anything. And oddly enough, as I look at it now, you can see the frame that went over
where the plate's supposed to be.
The plate is supposed to be. So in my opinion, somebody unscrewed the plate, or unscrewed the frame, took the plate off, and then put the time to put the frame back on. In any case, I said, no, we didn't have anything to do with that. And
we had photos.
He started looking for pictures because they take pictures of the cars when they're turned in and before they go out. And so I whipped out my phone and was able to show him with a date and time that this was an hour and a half after we picked up the car, and the frame was around the front and there was no license plate. So we were good to go. And we got on our plane and we had to sit the peasants.
No first class.
No first class. And we took a trip all the way home back to Minneapolis.
Just an amazing experience.
Absolutely amazing. Would I go back? I think I would, yeah. I might do it differently. I think I would fly in and maybe stay in Reykjavik more. Reykjavik. Or the other thing I might do is we missed and cut off this entire northwestern area. I think I would do that as well. So maybe Reykjavik, go up here, tour there, back to Reykjavik. The most important part of the whole trip is I would land. If I was on an overnight flight again, we would arrive, go to a hotel in Reykjavik or by the airport before driving anywhere.
Yes.
And get a car the second day so that we didn't nearly die again.
Other than that,
it was wonderful. Thanks so much for taking our trip with us, letting us reminisce with you. Put any questions, comments, comment section down there, and we'll try to answer them if we can. Thanks. See ya.
Bye-bye.
If I could find stop, I would.